So if you're a female and you've been thinking about being a trucker, let me share my experience as a truck driver for 7 years. First, let's have a brief lesson on the trucking industry and how it got started. So when trucking first began, it was a horse and carriage instead of an 18-wheeler. And it began back in I'm just paraphrasing here, 1910. However, by the time in 1914, there were already some early models of what we now call semis, which is semi-truck. Large trailers pulled by tractors and driven by drivers behind the scenes. These vehicles played an important part in transportation goods back and forth during the 1940s. When it ended, there was a trucking boom taking place. Semi-trucks hit the road and diesel engines attached them instead of gasoline engines. That was due to large parts because gasoline was scarce during the period rationing, while diesel fluid was less restricted. I said brief, so we're not gonna go through everything about the trucking industry. But as time has went on, there have been a tremendous amount of different type of trucks. We have trucks that have gears. We also have trucks that are automatic. Now, of course, you know, if you're gonna be a truck driver, you're gonna be out in the elements, you're gonna be over the road, or you could be interstate, which is over the road, or intrastate, which is city limits. No matter what part of the transportation industry you play, whether you're gonna drive a truck, a bus, a train, a Uber, a Lyft, all of them play important roles in transportation. One exceeds the other. So if we got buses, we got trains, we got planes. We have all type of transportation that play a daily role in getting goods back and forth through the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So as you know, truck driving is a predominantly male career. However, we do have some women that have broken that have come along as pioneers that contributed to the first women that came to truck driving, as myself, that I want to give credit to. One name was Luella Bates. She was born 1897, she lived to 1985. She's considered the first female commercial truck driver in the United States. She was a driver, mechanic, and a truck inspector who worked for 4-wheel drive auto company. Take a look. Okay, so what did she do? She test drove Model B trucks, traveled across the world to demonstrate the capacity of a Model B truck. She started her career as an elementary school teacher, left teaching and worked in the factory in January of 1920. What did she mean for the trucking industry? She broke barriers and overcame stereotypes. She paved the way for other women in the industry. There are other women that came along, but we're gonna get into me. My trucking experience, I started driving trucks in 2006 and I still have my Class A license now. I'm just not driving over the road. I do a lot of intrastate driving right now. So the job I have now as a construction worker, I do still have to obtain my Class A license because I have to drive vehicles that are within the commercial driver license standards. I started out driving for Yellow Freight, which was known as YRC Freight. Let me give you a history of them because they are no longer in existence, but I do have receipts that I used to work there. So Yellow Freight, formerly known as YRC Freight, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in August of 2023, and they ceased operations in July of 2023. So I wasn't with the company anyways. I've been with the city of Los Angeles for 8 years now, and I was driving buses. So Yellow Freight had financial problems. They had received a $700 million pandemic loan in 2020, but owed $730 million to the IRS. My career there, I just drove trucks. My job consists of me just getting in, doing my vehicle inspection, and leaving. I drove hazardous material. Hazardous material, you have to have a hazmat, go through an extensive background check. You have to have that endorsement, tankers, and doubles and triple at the time. I don't know if they require you to have that now. They might, I don't know. I did go to truck driving school when I got my Class A license, so I really don't know a whole lot of crash courses. My truck driving school was 8 weeks, and we did 2 weeks in the class, and the rest we were on the road teaching us how to drive. And I was the only female at the time in the class. Being a truck driver is a great opportunity for anyone, I would say, that's single. Now, I had children at the time and they were small, so I didn't want them to be, doing any and everything. Also, I had a spouse at the time too. So it's kind of hard when you don't have the whole family with you on the truck drivers. And there are teams that are families, husband and wife, or you just have like a friend that you're driving trucks with. They make great money, but it just didn't work out for me because my kids were still small and I wanted to be in their lives while they were small. However, they're grown now. If I wanted to go back to it, I will, but I don't think so. Although truck driving is a great career, please be aware that there are things down that long. So make sure you check with a doctor to see, make sure you keep your health up. Make sure there's nothing wrong with being a truck driver. People are truck drivers for a whole career, 30, 40 years. But it's just, you have to take care of yourself. You have to learn about what your body is asking for. It's a different, it takes a different toll on your body when you're out in the elements all the time. Rain, sleet, snow. You could be in any of those weather conditions anytime when you're driving trucks, because if you're interstate, you all over the world. If you're somebody that's intrastate, you can just be doing it in the city limits or in that particular city. Now, whether you decide to be a package delivery driver or you decide to be somebody that wants to drive a garbage truck, any type of career you go in the transportation, or if you're somebody that wants to drive a bus, a train, you have a different safety that you have to adhere to, and it is a safety sensitive job. I drove all over North America, different cities. I started in Mississippi. I ended up sometimes in Chicago or sometimes in Maryland. It just all depends about how my route was routed. By me, somebody being from Chicago and knowing how to drive on snow, I would take trips up to Michigan, Ohio, Iowa, because I had experience driving in snow. A lot of my coworkers from Mississippi couldn't drive up to those routes because they were cautious about driving on snow, and I wouldn't recommend anyone that haven't drove on snow, sleet, and extreme rainy conditions to drive in those conditions. A truck, you can be an Amazon driver, you can be a FedEx driver, UPS driver. All those are commercial vehicles. Some are Class B, or if they're big enough, they're Class A. But the point is, you still have to obtain that license. Also, with that license, you do have to have a physical every 2 years. Overall experience was great. I loved it. If I could do it now, I would. But again, that company went belly up just 2023. I hate it for them, but they did. And, they were having those troubles back when I was a driver. Yellow Freight was a great company. They would have you go to one of their locations. They had locations all over North America and in Canada. They would have you go there, drop a load off. You were able to stay at a hotel. They would provide you with meals, and then you would pick up your load. Within, after those 8 hours, they would call you back on the road to go to the next place. They would give you an option of what's available. Hey, Miss Johnson, today we have a load, hazmat load that's going up to Michigan, or we have a regular load going up to Ohio, or we got a load going to Dallas. Which one do you want? So I always had a choice on what routes I wanted to take. Truck driving is a great opportunity for some. If you ever want to try it, make sure I would prefer anybody to go to a truck driving school, only because you learn the foundation of truck driving. They're going to go over the same thing I went over. You go over foundation. They're probably not going to go over the woman part, but they're probably going to go over the history of trucking and let you know trucking rules the world. Some of the items you have right now in your possession came off of a truck, came off of a freight train, came off of, out of someone's commercial vehicle here, in your city or whatever. So, it's a thing, and it probably will never go away. Transportation is a big industry that probably would never go away. Well, in conclusion, I hope you learned something about trucking. Any other qualifications that you need, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions about truck driving, I can answer them to the best of my knowledge. Thank you so much for listening to my experience as a truck driver. And I'll see you guys in the next video.